Shit, volume's off here.
Welcome to Stillman Radio, January 19th, 2021. Bobby, you're with Chris, the entertainer. Got very New York sports show today. We got, the Knicks and the Nets won. Those are good news. And then a little bit of bad news with the Mets. What's going on, Chris?
Yeah, what's going on, man? Woke up this morning at about 8 a.m. and I saw the great news that our new general manager, who we hired about 5 weeks ago, Porter, showed his hog molly. And he did it like 5 years ago. But now, of course, since he got a big job, I guess the woman came out and she was probably pissed. And she came out and she exposed him. And Steve Cohen and the Mets did, the only thing they really can do at this point. The guy, it's not like the guy's been here for like 5 years. He's established, a great history. If you're the Mets, you just hired this guy. You gotta move forward without him. But the same thing happened last year. Not that that Carlos Beltran did that, but Carlos Beltran got the managerial job for the Mets, and Met fans were excited. A former New York Met, before the year starts, comes out that he was involved in the Astros scandal, and the Mets had to get rid of him. So it just seems like, as a Mets fan, it's always bad luck. Our manager didn't get to coach a game. Our GM was here for 5 weeks, and now the Mets move forward. I mean, Sandy Alderson is still the head of baseball operations. He's the Mets' former GM. The last time they went to the World Series in 2015. So I'd assume that, and he'll be the interim GM until such time they find somebody new. But it's never a dull moment in New York Mets world.
Yeah, it's as Metsy as it getsy, as John, the John Boy Media platform says. As Metsy as it getsy. It's like you said, man. It really just is the Mets. It's like everything would seem to be going good. Like it's a fun offseason for the Mets, and then, like you said, man, it's like it's nothing can go too good for the Mets before something like this comes and crashing down. Like you said, it was a while ago. Did they like what was the deal? Like, was this known and she had the woman hadn't came out or like what like how did this? I know she just came out, but was she silent for like the 6 years and then it was just like holding this for like this moment? Because I had heard that he had they had kind of known about it for a little while.
From what I read, and maybe I didn't read the full story yet, but from what I read, this kind of just got leaked today, or yesterday rather. And I would imagine the Mets didn't know about it ahead of time, otherwise they wouldn't have hired the guy. And it's bad press. But Steve Cohen came out, he did the right thing, he said what needed to be said. I don't think it's going to affect the Mets too much, to be honest with you. I really don't. I think Alderson was kind of the guy that was at least advising him to begin with when they hired him. Right. Alderson was making a lot of the moves the Mets were making before such time that he was even hired as the new Mets GM. So I'm not too worried about it. It's more just embarrassing and laughable on the New York Mets franchise than anything else. I don't think it's going to affect the personnel decisions. The Mets actually made a trade yesterday. They brought in another left-handed pitcher, a guy with some pretty high upside. They didn't give up much to get him, so I was happy about that. I'm still really excited about the New York Mets this year. I think they're going to be competing to go to the playoffs, and we may even get another Subway Series. I mean, I do you remember that you're a Yankee fan. You remember that as a kid, the 2000 Subway Series?
That's basically my first really vivid. Like, I remember the World Series before that, but that was the one where it's like, I am so into this because, like, half my family's Mets fan, half is Yankees fan. So it was just like, it was civil war within the Skinner household.
Yeah, New York sports needs it. I mean, you look around. I mean, you obviously have the Nets, and we're going to talk about them, but we have losers. I mean, the Giants have been losers now since they won their last Super Bowl, basically. The Jets have been losers since I've been alive, outside of a few years with Vinny Testaverde and Chad Pennington. The Knicks have been losers since 2000, outside of 1 year with Carmelo Anthony.
Jason Kidd.
We need it. I mean, the Yankees are consistent winners, but I think in baseball, and you could attest to this, that's when you started watching the sport. Baseball in New York is at its best when both teams are playing well.
Yes, it's fun. Baseball is so much fun when the Yankees and Mets are good. And the Subway Series is that's a historic moment. Like, you have New York versus New York. Like, that was a historic moment, man. And that's why it's like, yeah. Do I remember the Yankees winning World Series before that? Yeah, but what do I remember vividly? Like, that series, and that's kind of what probably that got me into baseball, where I'm watching the Diamondback series the next year more closely and things of that nature. So it is better when the Mets are good, and obviously, like any fan, you like to trash talk the other team. So I like to trash talk the Mets, but it's more fun when they're good. Like when they're it's falling apart. It's like, well, why am I going to kick someone when they're down?
Yeah, there's more juice to the Subway Series. You get up for it. It almost feels like a playoff series when the Mets and Yankees are both really good, and I think you're going to get that this year. The Mets have gone out there, they've brought in big pieces. Yankees brought back DJ LeMahieu, which is big for them. They
Kluber,
also
which we
added
could
Corey
talk about
Kluber.
that in a second too.
Yeah, Kluber was a nice pickup. I think it was like a 1-year, $12 million deal, like a prove-it deal. But,
Yeah, basically.
yeah, that was a good pickup by the Yankees. I'm looking forward to baseball. I'm probably more looking forward to baseball than any other sport because I could realistically go into the season now as a Mets fan and actually think my team has a possibility to win a World Series. Where in football, if I'm being honest, last year didn't feel that way with the Giants. Basketball obviously don't feel that way with the Knicks, even though I like the way the Knicks responded yesterday, and I'm sure we're going to get into that. But they've been playing tough, and I'm really proud to be a Knicks fan the way they've come out fighting so far this year. But the Mets, I have higher hopes for.
Do you think Steve Cohen had his first moment where he's like, "Man, I wish I wasn't so active on Twitter"?
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I still love Uncle Steve. I love that he's so active. I love that he shows the fan base how much he cares, and the fan base is going to love him back every step of the way. You could tell that he genuinely loves the New York Mets, and that's what we wanted in our owner. I didn't feel that with our previous owner, so I do feel that with Steve Cohen. But Cohen did what he's supposed to. He didn't wait. You know, this came out like I don't know, late last night. He fired him the next morning. So Cohen did what he was supposed to do. Yeah, go ahead.
In basketball and baseball, you could tell which owners really care. Like you just see them. Like Ballmer with the Clippers. Cuban with them. And those in basketball more so because it's you can really if you look at the team like the Rockets and you can go out and get stars consistently. Think about how many times they tried with different pieces and how many trades they've made. They've always went and tried. But so like the Rockets, the Clippers with Ballmer, Cuban with the Mavs. Like you could tell which owners really care. And Steve Cohen, obviously he's on social media a little more than most guys. So it's really transparent. But yeah, like you could tell that it's not going to be for a lack of like caring and being like, as long as we're getting good profits, I don't care kind of thing.
Mark Cuban was this close to owning the New York Mets. I don't know if you knew that.
Back in the day, are you talking about like 15 years ago or so?
Yeah, 2000 and I think 2009. I think was the Ponzi scheme. Mark Cuban wanted to buy the Mets.
Yeah, he wanted to buy the Cubs too. Bud Selig wouldn't let him in baseball. He just Bud Selig did not want Mark Cuban in baseball.
And Mark Cuban is one of my favorite owners in sports. I know some people may not like him. He's definitely brash. He's outspoken, but he's a guy like Steve Cohen that you could tell genuinely cares. Like he's not in it for the money. Like he's kind of like Cohen. Cohen's worth $14 billion. It's like, no, I'm doing this because I love the Mets. I want to build up a baseball team and help the city of New York get a World Series. And a lot of owners in today's sports, it's about the profit. It's not about, with the Yankees. I think with George, with the father, he just cared about winning. He didn't care about the money that he made. The sons, a lot of Yankee fans will say,
I'm worried that the kids don't care. Like that was in the sport. Football is different because you can't just go get by the best players or trade for best players in football. Like football, you have to be more. George, he went out and got guys. Like I think the Yankees make enough money. They have the second most popular sports franchise in America. They should go out and buy the best players.
Who's first?
The Dallas Cowboys have edged them out.
The Dallas Cowboys are more popular than the New York Yankees?
I believe so. I looked it up last year when somebody was like, being on the Yankees doesn't make you more popular than it used to be. It's like, yeah, actually it does. Like it still does. And people are like, well, only to the Yankee fans. We're like, yeah, because Yankees have the most fans. So you're more popular because you're introduced to those new fans. But yeah,
I'm surprised by it. Well, it does kind of make sense because with the younger generation, baseball seems to be tailing off a little bit. So I guess
it may have been. I remember it being number one.
Yeah.
And then like you said, like maybe it's different now. But yeah, that's my worry is that the kids aren't as they're definitely trying. Like they don't not care, but I don't think they cared as much as George, where George was, sometimes to a fault was just like super involved trying to win.
To a fault is right. Sometimes he went above the GM and did things he probably shouldn't have done, but overall George was in it to win. He wasn't in it for fame or fortune. He was in it because he genuinely wanted the New York Yankees to be a winner, and that's what you want in an owner. Yeah, I mean, that's all you could ask for. So I think that's why Mets fans are so excited.
Really, if you were like that in baseball and basketball, and you can't be over the top, but if you're really like that, like there's no reason why you can't be successful. I mean, these teams are all making money every year. unless there's teams like the Rays and stuff that have to be a little different. But like a team in the New York, like the Mets, you guys have a huge fan base. Shouldn't ever have to worry about that. Have you ever thought about how powerful these franchises would be? Imagine if there was no Jets and Yankees, and like there was just one team for the state of New York.
Mm-hmm.
Can you think about how popular both those teams are, and just imagine all those fans behind one? Sometimes it stinks because I wish we could be one mind. Like I'm a Giants fan. My following is 99% Giants fans.
Yeah.
But when I talk about the Nets, they're like, oh, it's like, oh, man, I wish we were on the same team.
I don't mean to disrespect your Nets, Bobby, and I'm really not. And you guys are definitely growing in a fan base. But if there is one sport in the New York area where it is dominated, by one team, it's the Knicks. And that's why I always say, Bobby, if the Knicks are ever good, like basketball will be the only by far the main thing talked about in New York. Because everybody comes together. It's not like the Giants, it's not and the Jets, it's not like the Islanders and Rangers. It's the Knicks. Yeah. Right now, the Nets are obviously more talked about, getting more popular because they've got big names. And I'm not saying in Jersey, it's different. They come from New Jersey. But in New York,
most New Jersey's probably Knicks fans too.
Yeah. If the Knicks are good in New York.
No, it's just whenever I talk about the Nets, I got like people swinging at me. It's like, let me just enjoy my Nets fandom. But
and I'm sure you're enjoying it right now.
Yeah, which we'll get to. Now, did you see some of these text messages in the article?
I did. Did
you see this one?
Through it. Let me hear it. Who put that?
What about this one? Dude, what a weirdo this guy was.
Yeah.
What's the most text you've sent unanswered before?
What's the most text I've sent unanswered before? I would say 4. Usually when I get to 3 or 4, I'm like, okay, time to ease off.
Have you? Yeah, I've probably done like 6 or 7, but it was because it was a longer relationship, so I felt more comfortable. But it wasn't like someone I was trying to like 62 unanswered is insane. That's insane.
That guy should probably be thrown in jail for harassment. Like they have to make a text law. They have to make a text law.
And obviously he sent his junk too, which is like, I like that he tried to put off those are joke stock images. Like they don't have stock images of penises, dude. Like those just don't exist.
Well, it's one thing if she asks you for it. If she wants to see the elephant trunk,
yeah,
okay.
But she asking for. She didn't respond to 62.
I know exactly.
What a nutcase, dude. What a weirdo. Like that is so weird. The fact that guy moved himself up in the business world to be a general manager of a major league franchise. Like that's crazy that he is that type of person who was able to move up like that.
I said it on Twitter today. Brett Favre did it. Remember?
Yes.
Brett Favre did it with the Jets, with the cheerleader. When he was the quarterback for the Jets, he was married with a wife, and he sent her. I don't know if they were texting back and forth. I don't know the scenario. I don't think it was 62 unanswered.
Yeah,
messages.
I think that was like more back and forth or something. But yeah, it wasn't like this is, and that I'm not saying that's right, but this is on another level. Like just the 62 in a row without the dick pic is really bad, and then you put that on there, and like you said, it's got to be criminal, right, to do that? Like, there's got to be some type of law against doing that.
And if there's not, they got to make one. It's kind of like driving while texting. That wasn't a law at first. They adapted. Well, sending 62 messages while texting probably should be illegal. It sounds like harassment to me, Bobby.
It's crazy. What's the most you've gotten in a row?
Ooh. I've gotten a lot, actually. I've gotten a lot from pissed off girls before.
Most I've gotten is like 10, but it was like through like 7 days.
I've gotten like probably 20. Because I was just like, screw this girl, I don't want to talk to her. And she was crazy. She just kept sending message after message after message, and I was just like, not going to respond, So I've probably gotten about 20. I haven't reached 62. When I do, I'll let you know.
we got to try our best. We got to find these type of people. They were actually, this doesn't count, but it was a girl I was dating, and we weren't I was literally in somewhere where I wasn't allowed to have my phone out, but I had it on vibrate, and she was like texting me like, how did whatever, I won't go into where I was, but like, how'd it go? And I didn't, I looked and didn't respond, and then she's like, hello, and then she started going A B C D E F G, and I had to turn my phone off because I was like, I'm gonna get in trouble. Like my phone is like the entire time.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds like a stage 5 clinger, as they say.
Stage 5 clinger. That one didn't end well. So
what is that? Wedding crashers, right?
Yes, wedding crashers. Blake Martinez said that about Patrick Graham. Yeah, I mean, this guy is a danger to society with this 62 in a row thing. The
most ironic thing is the New York Mets actually started in 1962. So maybe there's something to that if you're a numbers guy.
And they still hold the record for the worst team in baseball. Was it 40 and 122 or 42 and 160?
It was something like that. They lost like 120 games.
I remember in like 03, the Tigers came like two away from that record.
Okay, when I was growing up as a kid, the thing that really drew me to them, I love the underdog, the miracle Mets and everything else. The Mets finished in dead last from 1962 to 1967 every year. And they, like you said, they had the worst record in the history of baseball. 62, 63, 64, 65. You're talking 6 years. First 6 years in existence, they finished. Now, I'm not talking about just division. Baseball, dead last. 68, I think they finished second to last. And then 69, they win the World Series.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. And then obviously the 86 Mets with the Buckner Bowl. So.
You ever watch the video of those World Series and you see people were like wearing suits and stuff to the game?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Times have changed. People used to wear suits to church too. Now they wear tank tops.
Yeah, they do. So since we're on baseball, what do you think of the Yankees going out and get Kluber? I view it as a why not for the Yankees. You know, obviously he hasn't really pitched in 2 years. But like we were talking about buying teams, like for the Yankees, there's no reason not to. And you have to try something because our rotation is, you know, you have Cole, obviously. But after that, it's bad. And it's looking like Tanaka's not coming back either. So, I mean, the Yankees, you know, Kluber, there's no guaranteeing he's going to play. Like, he may get injured and miss, you know, the playoffs. This Yankees rotation is in serious trouble. Like, I have been pretty optimistic going into the last few years as a Yankees fan. This year I'm going in, like, I don't think we can win it if we keep this rotation as is.
Yeah, well, Corey Kluber, to me, he's a flyer. But if he hits, he's like a lottery ticket. And that's kind of how the Yankees approach it. They gave him it was a 1 year, $11 million deal or something like that.
Yeah.
But if you look at him, I mean, the guy, you know, the guy's been hurt, right? 2019, he only had 7 starts. He threw to a 6 ERA. Before that, he was incredible. He won the Cy Young, I think. Right?
Yeah.
He won the Cy Young in 17. So if he even comes close to regaining that form, he's, you know, more than worth that contract. But, yeah, if you're the Yankees, he's a 35-year-old pitcher. He's coming off a serious injury. Do I think he's going to come in there and be the pitcher he was? No. I think he's a name at this point. But maybe he falls somewhere in the middle. Maybe you get a guy that throws to a 3.8, 4.1 ERA that gives you 175, 200 innings. That is a solid pitcher in your rotation. But do I think he's ever going to regain the Cy Young status that he had 3 or 4 years ago? No. I think you're asking for too much if you're a New York Yankee fan. I think Yankee fans got excited about the name, but it may not be the most productive signing.
Yeah. But you said it's like a lottery ticket, and I'm not comfortable like banking our World Series hopes on a lottery ticket. And it's like you said, I'm not expecting him to come in and have Cy Young numbers. So if he can just come in and, like you said, have those, you know, above average numbers, I'm happy with it. My issue is like the guy, he hasn't been able to stay healthy. So it's like hard to bank on that. And, you know, the Yankees have had serious health issues in the past too. So it's
Yankees will still be good though. That lineup's too good, man.
Yeah, it will be good, but my goals are, you know, World Series, and I just don't feel like we can do that. So I figured since we were on baseball, I get a little baseball talk. Somebody said I wasn't versatile. It's like I can talk Yankees Mets. I can't, you know, I'm not going to be able to tell you about what the Rangers are doing, but I could talk Yankees Mets all day long.
Who said that?
Not in like a past stream.
Oh,
like Bobby only knows how to talk football, basketball. It's like I can't talk baseball as a whole, but I can talk Yankees Mets all day. Now it gets sports radio where I'm repeating the same things. Like you'll hear me use that same talking point over and over again. But it is what it is.
We're gonna be talking a lot of Yankees Mets this year. It's gonna be fun.
I know it will be. But basketball, the sport I am well versed in. Let's start with my Nets and we get out of the way. Man, James Harden, he's better than I thought. Like, and I was saying to you this before the show. It's like everyone knows the scorer he can be. And you know, everyone talks about how great of a passer he is, how he sets guys up. You really don't realize how good he is until you see him with players that you know. You know, like seeing him with DeAndre Jordan, Joe Harris, And the other players, and then with KD, it's like it's unfair. Man, I was all in on the trade, but obviously a little bit of you is skeptical. It's like how does this work? It's like it gives us the best chance to win, but how does it end up working? Man, I know Kyrie's not there right now, but I feel really good so far 2 games in, because it seems like Harden really is taking that role of playmaker, where in Houston it was really like ISO. Like you basically, like, it's all James Harden usage, where they seem to be playing well together. Obviously, Kyrie's not involved yet, though.
James Harden's one of the top 5 players in the league, maybe top 7, but he's a great player. So he's definitely going to help your team. There's no doubt about it. He'll fit in fine. He's a guy that can play off the ball. He's a terrific passer. He can shoot. He's probably the most efficient scorer in the NBA. At the rate that he's able to get to the free throw line, it's ridiculous. He averages like 10 free throws a game. So I think he's going to do wonders for your basketball team. The question is he going to get you over the top? I'm leaning no this year. I think the following year, you stand a good chance if you guys could stay healthy.
Do you think there's anybody in the East that should be favored over us?
I don't know about favored, but I think there's teams on par with you. Like I think I look at the East right now, and I kind of see like 3 teams that I could see coming out of it, and I think you're one of them. I don't think that there is like an overwhelming favorite, but I personally don't think you stack up with the Lakers yet.
The Lakers are my focus. The Lakers, and it will be interesting to see, whenever we do play them in the regular season, I am going to be paying attention closely, because the Lakers are big. The Lakers are big, and that's the one thing the Nets don't have. They don't have size.
Yeah.
And their only guy that they do have size with is DeAndre Jordan, and he sucks. We get, there's guys like Nick Claxton, but you can't rely on Nick Claxton. Like most people don't even know who Nick Claxton is. So I'll be paying attention. But honestly, like maybe this is me being cocky. I don't really worry about anybody in the East. The Celtics, I don't worry about at all. The Sixers, I don't worry about at all. The Heat, maybe the Heat could give them fits, but I just don't know how they can stay up with our scoring in a 7-game series. And then the Bucks are that team, but you saw it last night, even without Kyrie. It seems like the Bucks are the one team we match up with the best, because DeAndre Jordan, DeAndre Jordan can't play up. Well, against the Bucks, you don't have to play up, because Giannis can't shoot. I mean, they were literally just like, dude, shoot. Like, I posted a video last night when Giannis airballed, and they're like, dude, go. Please shoot. Like, DeAndre is in the paint while, Giannis is just up top by himself. So that's why, the Bucks, their playoff issues have been real. And that's why it's like, you don't go into any series thinking it's totally over. But there's no team in the East where I fear them. The Lakers, I do fear. Like, the Lakers is like, can we beat them in a 7-game series? But nobody in the East really gives me any fear.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick a team right now, at least I'd pick you guys. I don't think it's a lock. Like, the Lakers, I think, is a lock almost to come out of the West. Like, I love the depth that they added this offseason. I think they've got obviously injuries could happen, but if they stay healthy,
right?
I think they're going to coast. And but yeah, I'd pick you guys in the East right now. But the other thing is, we don't know these teams yet. We don't know. What if Milwaukee goes out there and adds a big piece at the trade? What if they had Bradley Beal or what? So
yeah.
We don't know yet. We don't know how these teams are gonna. You guys are kind of tapped out. You guys gave up all your draft picks for the next 10 billion years. So I don't think you could add any more real significant pieces this year. You have nothing more to trade.
We just need to sign a free agent center who can run and dunk. Just try on defense and dunk.
Next year, and you guys may win it this year, but next year, I think the Nets could be unbelievable, because you guys are going to have the big 3, and then you're going to have guys that are willing to come here on the veteran minimum. You're going to have guys, kind of like what happened with the Heat with the big 3 year 2 after they lost to the Mavericks. Everybody was like, I'm going to run over there. I'm going to get my ring. I could see the same thing happening with the Nets year 2. If you guys lose this year, I could see free agents being like, well, if they had 2-3 more nice pieces off the bench, they could win a title. I'm going to go over there, help them out. So we'll see. I still think the Lakers are going to win. You guys have a chance, though. Whenever you got Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving, as long as they're not Looney Tunes, you have a real chance to win. Especially in the playoffs when the rotation kind of diminishes a little bit. Instead of a 10-man rotation, you kind of go to 8 in a 7-game series. So you guys definitely have a chance, but I think I'd still favor the Lakers. I think you guys are 1 or 2 pieces away in terms of depth pieces in being able to stack up with a team like that.
My hope against the Lakers is, like, they kind of coasted last year. Like, I know the Nuggets beat the Clippers, but the Clippers were a much harder matchup for the Lakers last year, and they missed out on that. And then the Heat, they just didn't have they just couldn't compete with that. So, but there was no big three last year, and now the Nets are the only team in the NBA now with a legit big three.
Yeah.
And that's my thing. Is like, can the Lakers handle all of that perimeter? Like, I know they're great down low, and they'll be able to out rebound us like crazy, and LeBron doing his thing. But how does LeBron react when it's not Jamal Murray and Jokic as the opposing team's best player, or Jimmy Butler, when it's Kevin Durant, who, beat him twice in the finals, and not only Kevin, but, Harden and Kyrie. And then Harden, Harden has had some bad endings to playoff games, but guess what? Now we have two guys who have been bona fide closers in playoff games with KD and Kyrie. A lot is going to happen from this. This conversation will not end. But right now, at this moment, 2 games into it, I feel really good.
You should. I mean, if you have Kyrie Irving or James Harden as your third option, that's insane. Most teams would kill to have them as their first option. You guys have them as your third. So you guys are loaded in terms of being a top-heavy basketball team.
Let's talk about your Knicks. They got a good win against Orlando's. They're not a good team, but Orlando's a solid team.
They were a playoff team last year, right?
It's a good win, man. Yeah, your guys' defense is legit. Are you guys the number 1 defense in the NBA right now?
It's a good question. Let me look. But no, the Knicks, we're definitely not the number 1 offense. But the Knicks, we can't shoot threes to save our lives. But the Knicks fight every single game. And, as a Knicks fan, that's all I can really ask for. They don't go out there. They don't really lay duds. They're not, they're going to have ups and downs. They're going to have like what they had, like a 4 or 5 game losing streak, because quite frankly, they're inexperienced. They don't match up talent-wise to a lot of the teams in the NBA. But they fight every week, and that's what I'm hoping for. And the last 2 games have definitely been, they are the number 1 defense in basketball right now. They're only giving up 102.7 a game. They're only scoring 100, but they're scoring 100.6. But if you look at opponents' points per game, they are first in the NBA. Cleveland is second, and the Lakers are third. So they are the number 1 defense in basketball right now.
Coach Thibs, I like Thibs. My only thing is, like, how does Thibs look in year 3? But year 1, he's going to come out and get the best out of those players. Here, and I feel for Knicks fans on this, because I watched him a lot with the Orlando Magic. Elfrid Payton, what is the obsession with playing Elfrid Payton? I get, you guys are a thin team right now. I don't think Frank is back healthy, right?
Frank's not back, and Burks isn't back either, who was actually playing really well for us the first 2 or 3 games. I
don't understand why. And maybe you don't throw Quickly in there like as much, but the fact that they just keep starting Payton is crazy. Like, I don't get what Thibs sees in him. Like, I couldn't stand him in Orlando. I didn't watch him with the Suns, and now the last year with the Knicks and this year, I feel your guys' pain with that, because I hate watching him play. Like, he may be my least favorite player in the NBA is Elfrid Payton.
One of my subscribers brought up a really good point yesterday. And I'm with you. I definitely want to see Quickly get more minutes and eventually, hopefully, become the starter by year's end. But if you look at the Knicks' second unit, if you put Payton on the second unit, who's going to score? Like, they have no scorers that come off the bench. Maybe Austin Rivers. I mean, Kevin Knox. I mean, maybe Obi Toppin develops into that. So I think maybe Thibodeau's looking at it like, Quickly's a guy that could, give me offense on the second unit. He could provide points. Payton's more of a facilitator. So maybe that's the reasoning. But as a Knicks fan, I definitely want to see it by midseason, it start to shift. Like, Payton right now is averaging 29 minutes a game, Quickly 18. I want to see that maybe even out. I want to see like 24 apiece or something like that. I want to see Quickly start to get more minutes. I don't mind Quickly coming off the bench, maybe to provide that spark in his rookie year as he starts to develop as a professional player. But I need to see more of him as the season progresses. When
Frank and Burks comes back, I wouldn't even play Elfrid. I'd rather play.
I'm not a fan of Elfrid Payton, believe me. He played decent yesterday, but I'm not a fan of him.
Yeah, maybe I'm picking the wrong day to pick on Elfrid Payton, but I have saw what is funny. The Knicks fans have been using "put Elf on the shelf" is a pretty good tagline.
Yeah, that is pretty. That is pretty. One of my subscribers calls him the Elf of Wall Street. I thought that was pretty good.
It sucks he's not good because there's so many good nicknames and things to use with him.
Yeah. I miss his hair. Remember his hair with the Orlando Magic?
Yep,
Where it
and then I
looked like
remember he went to go shoot a jump shot and he hit it, and I think he cut it like soon after that.
Yeah, I miss
That
that.
may have
He had
even
like
been with the
3
Suns. I can't remember,
I think
but
it,
yeah,
well, I
the
know he
hair
had it
was
with the Magic.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Uh, do we got anything else before we do bet of the day? I mean, we basically hit on
I
everything.
got to talk about RJ Barrett.
Oh yeah, give me your RJ Barrett your speech.
Whenever I'm watching Knicks, that's what I'm watching and thinking about, because to me he's by far the most important player for this year. Obviously it's about wins and losses, but at the end of the day it's about player development, and it's about finding out whether or not the New York Knicks have a potential superstar in their roster. We kind of talked about it last show, where we were kind of saying we don't really know what the ceiling is for RJ Barrett. Is he a guy that could be a top 10 to 15 player in the league, or is he a guy that is going to kind of give you that 1 or 2 All-Star appearances? That's a very good player, but not approaching great. And we still don't have that answer, but the last 4 games, he's really started to progress. He's really and you need to see consistency, because the 4 games before that, it was bad. And so far in the year, the other thing I want to really hit home with, his free throw shooting has been much improved. He's averaging 75% from the line. Last year, he was 64%. So that was something that as Knicks fans, we really needed to see take a big step up. And he's kind of like Harden in the sense that he's really good at creating contact, getting to the line. It's why a lot of people compared him to Harden, at least in that capacity coming out. His free throw shooting is getting much better as well. And the last 4 games, 7 of 15, 7 of 12, 5 of 11, 9 of 19. He's been much more efficient shooting the basketball. From the free throw line, he's made 20 out of his last 22. So the last 4 games, he's really started to progress, and we need to see that continue to build. 25-3, 24-3, 19-11-3, 22-10-4. He's been really good for the Knicks the last 4 games, and if that continues, that'll only help us, attract some potential free agents. We need young emerging players on this team, and I really like RJ Barrett. I don't know if he's going to be elite, but I really like RJ Barrett. I think he could be a borderline great player in the NBA, but he just needs to continue to hone his game. But really like what I've seen the last 4 games.
When I talk about Thibs, like short term, he's going to get the best out of these guys, and RJ Barrett's a good case of that. And it's noticeable how much better he's like. I don't want to get too drastic, but you can just tell like he's getting to the rim a lot better with ease. He's figuring it out, and it seems like the game's slowing down for him. Like, and Orlando's a good defensive team. Like, Orlando's a good team on defense, and he was able to get to the rim and make his own shots. Like, so yeah, I was very pleased with the way RJ's played the last couple. I don't think I watched. Who'd you guys play before? Oh, who'd you guys play before this game?
Boston.
I didn't watch that game.
Beat him by 30.
Yeah, a blowout. I think that was going on during football, so I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
But this Magic game, you could definitely tell RJ was getting to the rim like pretty well.
Yeah, he was really the only guy who had an efficient day. I mean, we only scored 91 points. He had 22 of them, and shot almost 50%. The 3-point shot is still a major concern. That's got to get much better. He's only
right.
The year he's only shooting 22% from 3.
He's 22%.
22% from 3.
How many is he shooting a game?
4.3. He's hitting 0.9. He's 14 for 65. But that's kind of encouraging when you think about it, because that's not going to stay. He's going to get better than that.
Yep. He's got a good shot too. Like it's not like he's one of these guys that has a broken shot. Like if he puts in the work, he will become a good enough 3-point shooter.
And you think about it, that's going to average out. So say he finishes the year at 31, 32% behind the 3-point line, his points are only going to go up.
Right.
So just keep hitting your free throws, just keep growing, getting the line, creating contact, and it's about growth. At the end of the day, Knicks fans need to remember this guy's only 20 years old, and he's showing you growth. And I still do think he could be a superstar in the NBA. I don't know if he will be, but I think he can. I think he has the tools necessary. If he could get that shot down, if he becomes a good jump shooter, this guy's going to average 24, 25 points in his sleep. But the question is, can he do that?
Right. Yeah, he's definitely a bright spot for the Knicks. And I love Quickly. I like watching him.
He's got the teardrop. He's got it down.
I know the quickly floaters. I can tell why. Like if he was a net, I would love Quickly. I love watching him play. But I keep seeing you guys pull up the CBS Sports draft grade on him, and I laugh every time. The D- or whatever they gave.
I was happy when they brought him in because, Bob, you watch this team right now, they can't shoot to save their lives. Yeah. He could shoot. And so we needed that. He shot 93% from the charity stripe at Kentucky. And the other thing I always say, his initials are appropriate. He's very smart. IQ. That guy goes out of his way to draw fouls behind the three-point line. You see it every single game. So I've been really impressed with Quickly. I threw a nice alley-oop to Toppin. And that's the other thing I'm really excited about, to see Toppin once he really gets into the flow, what we really have with him. I was very disappointed with the minutes that Knox played yesterday, because Knox, before yesterday, was actually starting to show you something off the bench. 10 minutes, 0 of 4 shooting. I hope to see him progress too, because we got to remember he's still only 21 years old. But that's what this year's about for me as a Knicks fan, seeing these young players progress and get better. And I think next year is when things really start to get exciting for the Knicks.
Yeah, for sure. All right, bet of the day. You are 2-1-1, I believe, or maybe you're 1-1-1.
1-1-1.
You're 1-1-1. Danny's been killing it. Danny is hold on, let me pull it up. Danny's 4-1-1. Snacks is 1-1, and I'm 4-5. Chris, what's your bet of the day?
Yeah, I'm not I don't bet, but if I was gonna bet, I don't think I'd ever bet the NBA. But that's really what I have any limited knowledge about right now, even though I'm pretty much just a Knicks guy. To me, it just seems like too much. And maybe I'll be a fool. The Nuggets are great, but the Thunder going to Denver. Denver does have a day off, and I didn't look at the Thunder schedule. Maybe they're playing a back-to-back. I don't know. But 9.5 points is a lot. Like, even if you're blowing a team out, Bobby, by like 20 in the fourth quarter, they could go on a meaningless run to cover that spread and get a backdoor cover. 9.5 is just too much for me. I'm going to take the Thunder at 6-6, who always seem to overachieve a bit. With Gilchrist Alexander. I'm going to take the Thunder to cover that 9.5.
Thunder plus 9.5. I like it. I'm going Pelicans plus 6 versus the Jazz. We're only 2 NBA games on tonight. I'm going Pelicans plus 6. Jazz are good this year. But let's see the Zion show. What do you think of Stan Van Gundy? Maybe we'll save this topic for another time, but I can't stand Stan Van Gundy as a coach now. He used to be good. I think he sucks now.
Yeah, not the biggest of fans of Stan.
Yeah, so I'm going Pelicans plus 6. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you for thanking me. Looking forward to Thursday.
Stay simple.